Hello Commanders, Commander Plater here, back with another Elite Dangerous Odyssey video. And today we're taking a look at something a little bit different, and this is something we might be getting to take a look at within Odyssey when it actually releases. So it turned out, despite there being a limited bubble in the alpha, there was actually a way to visit some other locations outside of this bubble. Now, there wasn't really a trick to do this, and it certainly didn't involve fudging anything. Also remember, anything you're about to see from outside the limited alpha bubble is going to be more than just a work in progress. It could well be cut content, and there are going to be buggy happenings galore, so this is definitely a peek behind the curtain. So, how did I actually leave the alpha bubble? Well, to start with, it's important to know how Frontier locks off areas of the galaxy around the bubble. Now, they used a permit lock system, similar to the ones we have and need to get into Sol, and the same way we have those that are permit locked over at the Col 70 sector in the live game. When our commander data was ported over from the main game, so were our system permits. Now, you might be able to see where this is going, and that's right, we were able to leapfrog from one system to another that we had the permit for. The only thing you needed was to have the permits and frameshift drive jump range long enough to be able to get from one to another. So, pretty simple stuff, and before you say it, no, we were pretty limited to where we could go, and we did not end up in anywhere particularly unusual. Could you visit anywhere of note? Well, Sol, Shinrarsh Dezra, a few others. The engineers in those systems? Well, kind of funny you should ask. I headed over to see Laurie Jameson in Shinrarta to see if we could visit the engineers in person, and from what you're about to see, the answer is yes. Now, heading down to the base, we can see some of the new planet tech in effect, but in an unfinished state. This is evidenced by the base being partly submerged or floating in places above the surface of the planet. It is worth keeping in mind at this point that this branch of the alpha that we were playing on was considerably older than the version of the game that is intended to be released in a few days, or being worked on even at that time. Some of the landing pads have an unusual experience waiting for those that land at them, assuming that the pad you get assigned isn't underground. I had to cancel docking and re-request on a number of occasions to make sure I could get a pad that was above the surface of the planet. One of the pads I landed on was actually a little bit half and half, so that means that you're docked and then you disembark, you're standing on top of some invisible ground, which actually raises you higher up in the air the more you move away from your ship, as you're actually standing on invisible ground. This actually allowed me to clip through some of the walls and walk around the physical location above the engineer workshop. Now remember I said things were a little buggy? Well, I need to head over to another pad to see if I could actually meet this engineer face to face and not staring and lurking from the rafters. From here, I headed back to my ship and landed at another pad. Once you get a pad you can actually dock at, hit disembark, and then you head down to see the engineer on foot. Worth mentioning here that this means the engineer you were visiting will be present at every single landing pad, and you will have one of them to yourself. One of my concerns was arriving at a port and having to queue if you were wanting to meet the engineers in person, and dealing with other players being, well, simply other players around them. Looking at Laurie Jameson, you can really see that this is a work in progress. The engineers are voice acted, but there is no lip syncing. The faces of the engineers do look like the portraits in the pictures, but what I will say is they're lacking any of the personal details, like the tattoos, the cosmetics, as well as they're just wearing a simple flight suit. I would hope if we were meeting them in person when Odyssey releases that we will be meeting a model that looks like the portrait. The model for the engineer also seems to be very shiny and very reflective as well. From the menu, you choose to engineer your ship and you are presented with the same menu that you get whilst in ship for the engineering. It has the same engineering options. Remember, we are getting a completely new set of engineers for the ground-based equipment, so that isn't listed here. Now, there isn't much else to this at the moment, but you don't have to wait long to see if this will have made it into Odyssey. As with only around 5 days to go until launch, we'll have to see. As usual, I will be streaming on launch day against all better judgment, so hopefully I will see you at Plater's Tyranny for drinks. Hunter, of course, will be buying. Thank you for watching, Commanders. Please make sure that you do hit the like button, subscribe and turn on notifications so you get an alert every time I put a new video out. Also, don't forget to follow me over on Twitch as well for an alternative live stream viewing. Thank you for watching. Commander Plater, out.